very good evening, all of you. So on behalf of TCS ION, me Mudita Bansal, I welcome you all to this interesting session on vocational pedagogy. It is a myth, it is just a myth that vocational education involves only the lower order thinking and that it is only for the less abled. Instead, vocational education is demonstrably a complex, intelligent activity which engages the mind and the body together. Vocational pedagogy involves a range of techniques and approaches which vary according to the subject being taught and the context in which teaching takes place. Most vocational learning methods are experiential, right? That is, they involve learning by doing. However, they also call upon reflection, feedback, and theory, leading to an ability to apply something learned in one context to another altogether novel context. From the moment a vocational teacher walks into a room or he or she is faced with a range of choices, learning by doing call upon reflection, feedback, and theory, etc., there is now good evidence to help them make the kind of choices which will improve the quality of teaching and learning and so be more likely to create excellent learning. In this session, we have invited a distinguished expert to talk about vocational pedagogy. With great pleasure, I welcome our guest speaker, Dr. Professor Ashok Gaba. Dr. Gaba is a professor in the School of Vocational Education and Training, SOVET, a part of IGNOU. He has over 30 years of experience as a faculty, researcher, trainer in ODL and VET systems. Before joining SOVET, he was associated with Staff Training and Research Institute of Distance Education. We call it STRIDE. That is also a part of IGNOU. Also National Institute of Open Schooling, NIOS, and even National University of Education Planning and Administration. Dr. Gaba has also authored research papers and they are published in international journals of USA, UK, Malaysia, South Korea, Japan, Turkey, and Norway, and so on. He was an associate editor of Global Journal of Open, Flexible, and Distance Learning, and executive editor of e-Journal of Education Technology, EduTech. A very, very warm welcome to you, sir. So, sir, let's start with understanding what vocational pedagogy is and how is it aligned to India's target to increase employability and to go towards skill development of the youth.
Let me first, thank you, Dr. Mudita. First of all, let me thank TCS for inviting me to share knowledge on the subject, that is vocational pedagogy. And it is indeed a great important topic which you asked us to share the knowledge among our participants here. Is there any need for vocational pedagogy? And a lot of debate is there, and people are discussing why pedagogy or whether non-vocational and so on. So my views on the subject are there. In Indian scenario, for enhancing the employability, we are facing a huge gap between demand and supply of skilled manpower in our Indian economy. And industry says we don't have any trained manpower available. And our learner says we have our certificate diplomas, but we don't have jobs. So there's a paradoxes and dichotomy existing in this scenario. So we come out the conclusion we should have separate vocational pedagogy. Where is the gap? So this issue becomes very crucial. Then we come out the separate debate last, I think, 15-20 years among scholars of law. Is there any need for separate vocational pedagogy in comparison to academic pedagogy? So people started discussions, debating, and in India also, we are very, very poor in this scenario of conceptualized vocational pedagogy. Vocational, what is, you asked the question, is very important. So what is vocational pedagogy? Anybody can see and search in Google and all literature available. But what my perception on this subject is, Vocational pedagogy is a field of knowledge oriented towards vocational trades, occupation, and profession. And why this vocational pedagogy different from the non-vocational pedagogy? People use different words: non-vocational pedagogy, vocational pedagogy. Yes, it is a need for there is a relationship between working life and the education system, such that studies of work-based activity in vocational education system. My perspective, it requires regular analysis of what goes on the workplace can ensure relevant vocational training. Therefore, we need a vocational pedagogy. Number one. Number two, the vocational pedagogy should be based on vocational tasks, activity in a workplace. And that workplace when come out, is there any separate so we come out this particular development curriculum approaches. So my perspective or the subject is yes, we should have vocational pedagogy in the Indian context for enhancing the employability as well as teaching the learners at the real life situations. Number one. Now question is that we can't teach motor mechanic and the repair of TV television program or plumbing or whatever vocational program in classroom. We require life experiences. That's why we require vocational pedagogy. So vocational pedagogy is a new subject, is debating all over the world. In India, we are having just initiated at school level, but in higher education, still we are weak adopting this vocational pedagogy set.
Let's understand for the teachers, for the educationists that have joined this session, what are the wider skills for teaching and learning, and how can they be cultivated and measured? Why are they important for innovation in learning and teaching?
The research in the subject is very weak. The concept broadly cover teaching, learning, and development activity work directed towards technical and vocational education in the school, as I just said, as well as teachers. But I understand your question because of networking. Your questions half I listened and half I couldn't. Your question, I think, what I understand you're asking, any R&D on vocational pedagogy. Is it right? Same question you're asking, Mudita?
Yes, sir. So
Yeah.
what does
So,
the research say
our-
on vocational pedagogy?
Okay. So research in India is very weak. Actually, it is not given priority across the globe as well. Very few studies are conducted on this subject. The concept broadly covers teaching, learning, and development activity work directly towards technical and vocational education in school level, as well as teachers. But it is a question of vocational teacher styles and strategy while teaching vocational subject at respective vocational education institution. The pedagogy of vocational education is wrongly considered as academic pedagogy. This kind of instruction strategy includes both institutional-based and work-based learning. So research says its delivery system for vocational subject differs from the academic subject. Now, it is very important for all of us. If research is weak in India, how can vocational pedagogy help enhancing the employability? No, we are creating employability through vocational education without adopting the appropriate vocational pedagogy at our respective vocational training institution. So research concluded, for designing a vocational pedagogy, the institutional trainer must focus on outcome for expertise. Suppose I have given a training to a learners in my workshop or training institutions how to make a design a particular class in fashion design program that we are offering in our school. So we see when a pattern making course is given to them, whether they are able to play these pattern designing models at their workplace, number one, or can we ask our motor mechanic to repair particular the problems of my automobile or my car or my scooters, whether he or she is able to complete that particular work. So that expertise required. It is not academic courses we are giving 50% marks and pass out in academic courses, but here in vocational subjects we require expertise. That's why this vocational pedagogy research focus on entrepreneur environment. Second focus, they are asking research in vocational pedagogy when we are designing any curricula, they should be entrepreneurial environment for the training, and functional literacy in addition to craftsmen and future skills in mind when we are designing the curricula. So curriculum is also a very, very important part to play in vocational pedagogy, but exponential learning with social constructivism to be the central point in vocational learning, that research says. And research also recommend critical thinking and problem solving ability should be incorporated in work-based learning. I have reviewed international research scenario and across the globe or my own research, which I discuss very, very interesting findings. Taste studies. One of the study which I conducted, I found what our vocational students are doing after getting a certificate, diploma, or degree in particular vocational trade. We found more than 95%. The scenario is 10 years back. 10 years back, we conducted a case study. We found the students are not doing job related to vocational trade. So 100 years back, research done by Foster's, our great scholar, and he discussed in European model, but we discussed in Indian research. We found the similar findings. Vocationalize or not to vocationalize was the hypothesis and paradoxes going on. So research strongly recommended in the context of the present environment and future need, we should adopt vocational pedagogy in our all vocational programs, as like we are doing other non-technical vocational programs, academic programs, but in vocational programs, a separate real life situation, experimental learning, and the vacuum approach needed for vocational pedagogy. This is request and review by researchers in different platforms.
Thank you, sir. Very interesting research work that you just shared. In fact, yesterday it was highly celebrated. The National Education Policy completed 1 year, right? So I think that also quite heavily touches upon this aspect of vocational education. Do you have anything to share from that perspective?
Yeah, you are right. It's very, very important and very interesting for the audience also. Vocational education, now all hurdles what we were doing, our research were telling earlier, we come out. Government is coming forward to give the support to the all vocational training institutional and to adopt vocational pedagogy. No, vocational pedagogy in perspective of the national skill qualification framework is concerned, now implemented by in new education policy 2020. So there is a flexible approach. We in India is the first institution and the first department of our School of Vocational Education and Training on 15th July of this month. That is World Youth Skill Day. UN declares World Youth Skill Day. We launched 2 master degree level programs, that is Master of Information Security program and Master of Arts in Entrepreneurship. So entrepreneurship is priority, what we are researchers are telling, what is government priority, and government already having separate Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship. We started these 2 programs, master level degree. In vocational education, you see in India, we are discussing school education. Mostly focus is school education, where unorganized sector, yes, it is very much needed. No earlier problem was there, no flexible or vertical mobility was there. Now this new education policy has given a very, very important flexibility approaches. In our own programs also, we adopted this new education policies approaches. The students after getting the first year course, he will be awarded, he can exist from the program, he will be awarded PG diploma in entrepreneurship or information security. If he 3 years back after doing job or service or whatever reasons, he want to join the back, so he will be admitted again the master level degree program if he complete the final year course. So new education policy already implemented in my own organization, number 1. But second point, the regional languages in vocational program, the second focus of the new education policy 2020 is regional languages. IGNOU in the last year already is doing this regional languages program, and we have more than 57 regional centers located across the country. So we vocational education, professional programs, academic programs, and we are shifting to new education policy. But the vocational pedagogy, what subject we are discussing today, is very relevant for our own vocational education, offering programs at higher education level, national skill qualification program level 6, 7, 8, and 5. Because 4 we are coming to school education. So that level occupational standard, slowly and slowly we are incorporating. It cannot be done without the interaction with the industry. Let me record our involvement, our vocational education or any vocational pedagogy cannot be succeeded without the involvement of the industry.
I'm sure, sir, TCS is doing a lot of work towards vocational education, and with a big bang, I think your organization is also invited to just touch upon, certain aspects that you can help us with. So we'll definitely, our organization will reach out to you and your organization for taking this further and taking benefit of your expertise. So moving on, how do the teachers, cultivate this, the teaching and learning process in their complete, the way of working? And why is it important in learning and teaching that this kind of, process is followed for teaching?
Yeah, my first point will be there कि teacher's role all depends upon our curriculum. What type of curriculum we are designing. And curriculum and DACUM approach I just mentioned, it requires interaction between industry and the academia, a platform, synergy between industry and the academia. And industry says, what I just mentioned, the skill manpower needed, but there is also huge gap between the local industry. For instance, in small towns, some industry is producing some products and services and manufacturing. They need a skilled manpower, but they are not able to find out what type of skill they require. First example. So teacher's role here is to identify the local skill needed by a local area for a district, rural or semi-urban Indian context I am talking about, and then design the curricula accordingly. So we are focusing, the teacher role is very important here. Teacher role is not to only cover the syllabus. In our research stage in India, we have just published skill gaps in one of the international study which we have done just now, and we found the skill gaps. Teachers' perception is totally different, and the students' perception is totally different, and industries, all the stakeholders we put together, we come to the conclusions. A student says when we went there to get the job, and we are not selected because we are not having the skill required by the employer. When we ask the same questions to the teachers, is their skill or whatever required by industry included in the curricula? They said yes, we covered, but few skill and competencies are not included in the curriculum. When industry we contacted, industry says yes, students have certification, but skill components somewhere skill are missing. So we asked what type of skills, hardcore skill and softcore skill. So soft skill somewhere, it all depends upon the nature of the job where this employee to be recruited. So teacher's role we design, it should be synergy between the middleman. This is my perspective. It should be mediator between industry need and the demand and supply of the skill. Demand from the industry and supply by teacher to the learner, so that the skill gaps can be fulfilled. Another synergy, a lot of discussions, we reports, other earlier documents are saying, but recent research which we found, it is improving a lot. It is improving a lot. Now teachers, if we follow up the study, is a first case study and second case study, we found it all depends upon the sample and experimental design data and local needs. We require industry also help us to do this skill gaps analysis and what type of skills required. So FICCI also conducted, Associate Chamber of Commerce also some have skill gaps study analysis. Now come to the curricular analysis. Teachers' role is very, very much needed. If you give me some more time, I can elaborate on the curricula as well.
Sure, sir. So in fact, what is DACUM, the developing curriculum, and what is its relevance to vocational pedagogy? Please, stage is all yours.
Yeah. This is the same thing I was just highlighting, because we have a very less time because a lot of things to become. Developing curriculum is an occupational analysis method aimed at the achievement of result that may be immediately applied to the development of training curricula. Now, it is a very important linkage with the vocational pedagogy. If you don't have a blueprint, my simple question is any teaching learning process is, if you don't have any goal or objective, you will not be anywhere. So in learning objective academic course, we are discussing the knowledge, skill and attitudes. But here, in my focus in vocational education and training is the fourth variable, that is experiences. So vocational pedagogy is required, especially promoted, developed by the Center on Education and Training Employment, recently Ohio State University, USA, and UNESCO adopted in 2014. We, if you see our Indian scenario, we don't have this type of curriculum and curriculum development mechanism. We are giving on documents this our national skill qualification framework, but the sector skill council and our government department come together. They have developed some qualification package and occupational standard. This specially promoted and developed, particularly this curriculum DACU is useful in the context of implementation of national skill qualification framework in India. DACU is also useful to training institutions that wish to implement competence-based program, which require a careful identification of tasks that are directly related to the competencies that are to be obtained by a training. So, what are the aims? If you see the vocational curriculum and pedagogy is interrelated each other. My question to the teachers, those who are attending this program, otherwise as well, when you're designing this vocational curriculum, you should have a questions like what are the aims and objectives of curriculum. Number two, which learning experiences meet these aims and objectives? How can the extent to which these aims and objectives have been evaluated? How can these learning experience be organized? These four questions I am raising, and this is question which it is not my own. I reviewed extensive research, very experimental case studies research, reported these questions, and to find out the answers. To come to the conclusion, what is the purpose of goal of vocational education, adopting vocational pedagogy? To prepare for earning a living. Basically, our aim of objective of the vocational education is to prepare a learner for earning for a living. Otherwise, other BA, BCom, BSc students are also doing the same thing. How it is different? Because we are preparing a training to teach employability, tech employability skills and work ethics. We are teaching in vocational courses through our vocational pedagogy approaches. So teachers, subject matter expert, and teachers interpersonal work skills and upgrade the adjusting skill of the employee, because in service on the job training is very much needed. We are also adopting the approaches to the vocational education and training curriculum. At whom is the educational process aimed, as like vocational any particular program? As we started just now, entrepreneurship program, degree level program entrepreneurship, lot of education institutions are coming up forward, but in the vocational context, it is the first one. And what goals and qualifications are to be achieved when we are approaching to develop the vocational education curriculum? We should be kept in mind what contents are to be learned by the learner or training, what teaching methods and aids are to be used, how is the result to be tested. The 5 questions which we raised are also in our discussions. The curriculum DACU approach analyze the vocational curriculum analysis, that is job analysis, job descriptions, marking scheme, syllabus, and teachers' qualification. These things to be kept in mind while designing the quality. We have a curriculum, we have a vocational pedagogy approaches, but we visited some of the vocational training institutions. Teacher which is not the subject expert of a particular vocational trade, they are teaching vocational subject and vocational trade at their respective institutions. How can we succeed in vocational education when we are discussing the separate vocational pedagogy? So transactions of vocational curriculum is very important. So in my point of view, the role of the vocational teacher and or trainer, just you ask me, is very important, and it is the role. In my point of view, I will advise to all the participants or teachers, first you list the task in relation to each competency, design a format for presenting the breakdown of task into components, and third point which I would like to focus, through vocational pedagogy, when you are applying in your training institutions, you should break each task into components of knowledge, skill and attitudes, identify social skills required for the task, and state each component in terms of measurable learning outcome. When you are evaluating learners, we raised the questions in our previous discussions as well. How to evaluate this vocational pedagogy when we are adopting in our respective institutions. So
Sir,
four
we'll
aspects
come
we
to
have to
that.
cover.
We'll come to
Identify
that in
social
the.
skills required for the task and state each
Yeah, we'll come to evaluation in the next question. Meanwhile, there was a question from Mehek Chugwani from the audience, and she was asking how the teachers should teach to reach the goal of vocational training. And I think you've just listed those points, and I hope that Mehek has got her answer. If you have anything to add to it, sir, you can take that up.
Yeah, absolutely right. I was just discussing the teacher's role for learning objective. And for he is asking the evaluation perspective, teachers should have first experiences in industry. When they are going to teach any vocational trade subject at their respective institution. For instance, we are experimenting here one fashion design program. We just started our own schools. So we went to industry see what types of skill they are using for productions. Then accordingly, we designed this particular vocational curriculum and teachers given to see the experiences. So first, teachers should be oriented by the industry through their vocational trade, and because somewhere teachers are having this upper hand because of pedagogy, and industry is having real life experiences and industrial production. So these two match. And teachers should go industry to learn and see the environment of industry environment and apply the learners for internship. And industry should help to teachers to designing the curriculum and incorporate the all vocational skills and competency which they required for their enterprise.
Well said, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much. So yes, we'll move on to evaluation. You just touched upon it. So monitoring, evaluation, and quality assurance systems, they are required to guide any innovation for an effective pedagogy, right? At both national and institutional levels in this case, since it is vocational. So yes, sir, your views on it, please.
Yeah, it is very important because teacher is ultimately boss of their own vocational curriculum and delivering and all that. But my point is that first teacher should be competent for evaluations or curriculum transactions. And the teacher should be able to differentiate between curriculum and syllabus, because we are coming to academic background. We don't have any vocational experiences, most of the academic teacher which I have interactions. So apply principle of curriculum constructions and development, and you see, and the teacher should take a survey to ascertain community needs and resources, and identify, analysis job and task. And this is first teacher's role is there before evaluation, and incorporate innovative practices in transactions of curriculum. This very innovative idea should be given. For instance, one of the training or any customer or any industry go to repair a machine or tool. Or for instance, in our day-to-day life, our computer is not working or our vehicle is not working, we immediately rush to a mechanic. If mechanic say half he corrected, half he couldn't do, we can't accept. So vocational pedagogy, I just mentioned, to be evaluated on 100% basis, 100% graded expertise should be there. It is not 60%, 50%, all that our practice is there in vocational or in academic courses to give pass mark 50, 75 and all that. But here, the role of managing curriculum in relation to time and sequence and futures demand is also very much needed for this particular teacher's role for evaluation. But teachers should know what type of curriculum model being adopted in vocational education before evaluation. It is product model or it is process model. And if product and process model is a hidden curriculum, sometimes is there. For instance, what is hidden curriculum? And when we are discussing the evaluation perspective, it is a formative or it is as a non-formative, whatever evaluation assessment techniques we are adopting in vocational education. First, we understand the concept and conceptions of curriculum. What is conceptions of curriculum? And the hidden. What is hidden curriculum? Curriculum all that is learned during school or college activity. That is not a designated part of the official curriculum. We go in the school or any vocational training institutions, and other than activity we perform that particular course or even degree program. Let me talk about degree program of BA, BCom or BTech, and some of the curricular activity we do in our institutions, which is not part of the our curriculum or degree. That's why we call it the hidden curriculum. And the second part is the observed curriculum. What can be seen as taking place in classroom may be different from the Indian official curriculum. The best example I have an experience in that it is observed curriculum, how to see learner can able to perform. We online courses through online platform. I demonstrated some activity. Learners were observing. They were able to perform that task. That's why this is a part of vocational curriculum. Now, what is vocational curriculum? The character side. It is experientially based in terms of content and teaching method, directly relevant to student needs. Emphasis on core skills. What are the core skills? Is required as just said, knowledge, skill, attitude, and fourth one is my experiences. So this teacher's role in evaluation becomes not only academic courses, we require expertise of particular vocational trade. We recommend it in various platforms. Teachers should see the theoretical and academic part from the industry perspective, and industry experts should evaluate the practical component of the particular course certificate or vocational programs. But the industry expert should, it is always, we know, is good in experienced person. He knows the particular part of this industry vocational trade, but he may not be having the evaluation experiences. For that, we recommended that every industry should have the diploma or vocational pedagogy or certificate program, training program, so that he or she can understand and help the academia to design the curricula and evaluation process. Industry, in other ways also, you see the learner perspective. It is not only teacher or perspective vocational pedagogy. Learner perspective also, we have to design the curriculum and evaluate accordingly. The first step is, see, if you go in the market, if you are coming driving your vehicle, all of a sudden it is not working, immediately rush to nearby these technicians. He is not having BTech mechanical. He is not having any degree, 10th pass or 8th maybe, but he is able to perform. He is having skill. He repaired your vehicle. So what to do? So RPL come in picture. Recognize by learning. We should test what level he is having skill. If vocational education play a very positive role, because 90% of our this manpower is working unorganized sectors. So if that we covered through vocational pedagogy, implementing the conceptions of curriculum same framework, I think our economy may be benefited a lot. This is the role of the teachers while designing the curriculum and evaluation the part of the particular course. And it is quality. If you see the national skill qualification framework, that has given the level of all level 1 to 10, and then the quality parameters, curriculum parameter perspective, and quality we design and 3 perspective. What is this 3 perspective quality is there? First is the internal quality assurance. Vocational education training centers, what infrastructure they have. Second point of internal quality assurance is vocational curriculum transaction, how this vocational curriculum transacted. Third is vocational education and industry interaction, which I already covered. Second important point is external quality assurance, that is academic audit, benchmarking, and assessment. Now, last is very, very important. The National Skill Development Authority now shifted to our particular new government has changes National Council for Vocational Education Research and Training. Now, earlier it was National Skill Development Authority. Now it is National Vocational Education Research and Training. This is merged with the National Skill Qualification Framework. So this body is taking care of our quality parameters, and what are the 3 accreditation part. Third point is accreditation of the vocational training institution. So internal quality, external quality, and accreditations. The 3 components make the vocational education and particular adopting the vocational pedagogy, which can be effective implementation at the respective vocational institutions.
Thank you, sir. Very informative, and we have a few very interesting questions here. So I'll take this one. It says, what are the challenges in rural areas that teachers face in vocational pedagogies where infrastructure is still a big challenge? And I will merge this question with another question that I have for you, that what is the role of a significance of digital technology and ICT in vocational education? I think you can combine the 2 answers and let us know.
Yeah, if it's a very, very important question, I was coming to discuss also touch upon. If you permit me this share, I would like to show one slide.
Perfect.
So you see integration rural perspective, and earlier we were not able to reach our learner through media technology and all that, so particular rural area, because we are not electricity, road and all that. But now this internet and digital technology reduce the all distance. The first example what we are online as on today. So integrations and application of new technology with curriculum and vocational pedagogy, I just covered knowledge, skill, attitude, and fourth point is experiences. Now coming to this blended training model, this is designed by me, and we come out this rural participant where they are sitting, whether rural or urban or anywhere in the world, maybe remote area, Andaman Nicobar or Europe or USA. No, vocational pedagogy. It is not necessary. We have a haptic device experiences, whereas this our South India, Kerala, Amma, these institutions had designed virtual lab or vocational lab. Now we also experimenting here the virtual experiment. You see the construction industry and learners model. This is blended model. Learner sitting at their home place can experience sitting on mobiles or on technology, what they have laptop or desktop, whatever. Internet is working. Now I think bandwidth of our all Government of India and digital literacy program have presently reached, or TCS effort, I think already is there, where they are reaching rural. I have seen the TCS project also, where they are giving the training to internet, digital literacy and all that. So these efforts, public and private sectors integrations, to help the rural people to see the effective learning vocational pedagogy model, that is blending model for effective vocational pedagogy. Learner sitting any place and support is given by the vocational institutions and having the industry experiences, and they can come from the real life situations after learning this certificate or diploma or degree programs, and having their situational based learning. They can experiment, they can design themselves. Today, just before this session, we were having a online practical class of our fashion design program. I invited one expert from NIFT and Delhi University and my own colleagues, and I asked them to do this activity. We recorded and we have given instruction to them, that is real experiences, and learners were able to perform better than our face-to-face interactions. This is why the IGNOU and School of Vocational Education, particularly experimenting the virtual mode of blended model of effective vocational pedagogy. We are giving VISLM self-learning materials. We are using MOOCs. We are using open education resources. We are using our own FM radio, our IGNOU, Gyanwani. We are using also our own Gyan program, 24-hour channel. Learner can see anywhere, anytime. Flexibility is there. Now we have Swam Prabha, as yesterday Honorable Prime Minister already referred this SWAM platform, MOOCs platform, which we already using this vocational education program. So learner, whether rural or whether urban, cannot be deprived from this effective vocational pedagogy system. And teachers, if they are willing to learn, if teacher will is to teach and learner will is to learn, I think these two put together, this blended model maybe reach. You see, when Eklavya can learn this, our story from Dronacharya, making a statue of Dronacharya, he learned a very good skills. Why not our modern Eklavya, which you call rural? I don't think rural or urban. It's the will of the learner. The sources are baskets. Sit Google or any platform, you will find a lot of resources to learn. Particularly IGNOU is doing a good job while designing courses. We are providing our own SLM self-learning material which help the learners to perform vocational education system. I'm sure employability is also helping to get after this particular program, because of through virtual interact and expertise, national, international expert design the curriculum.
Definitely, sir. Very intriguing information. So, a very, I think this is the best question of the day. Rahul from the audience, he is asking, with focusing on only vocational courses, can anyone dream of getting higher positions in an organization, any leadership positions in esteemed groups or companies? So your thoughts, sir?
Yeah, it's a very good question. It all depends upon. I have a story, and this unofficial source which I don't have source at the moment. And one of the automobile industry CEO was moving, and his driver was driving when he established a company, automobile industry in India. And the driver asked, "Sir, is it 5 days before this company established, and 1 lakh automobile this booking is there, and you should be happy. Why you are worried?" So CEO informed कि basically I have a problem कि I have technology, everything is there, and I have a collaboration, international cooperation from Japan, Korea, and all that. But the only problem is that when you see the automobile four-wheeler wheel which we are using, and their balancing, some tool is there. That tool is not able to supply by the international partners, or we are not able to get from any industry in India. Driver stopped his vehicle and he asked, "Show me that what is that particular tool?" And he see tool, "यार ये तो हमारे गांव में बनता है." कहते कैसे? कहते आप लाइए, चलिए। वो अपने गांव में जाता है और उसका जो लोहार होता है उसको कहता है गर्म करिए इसको, उस साइड से वो उसको कट करके ले आता है, वो फिट करता है गाड़ी में, वो फिट हो जाता है। वो स्किल जो बना रहा था, वो क्वेश्चन जो पूछा है कि सीईओ है, वो ड्राइवर को बोला, जो सीईओ ने बोला कि मुझे तो 1000 ये गाड़ी 1 लाख गाड़ी है, ये तो आप इसको बनाने में तो 2 दिन लगेंगे। वो कहता व्हाई नॉट यू गिव मी कंटेंट्स, आई नो। So driver left that driver job. He started his own this industry, and he supplied 1 lakh gas tool. Now he's, I think, billion more that is available in India. That's not coded anywhere. So CEO post all depends upon the skill and competencies what you have. It is not degree only. Degree sport is a facilitated things, and our C Aryabhat or Ramanujan has given 0. He is not having them particular degrees for all that. So my point in vocational education help the additional qualification. I have seen reviewed most of the general degree people are teaching vocational education. Why not vocational education? We are having now a lot of vocational universities, skill university coming up. Delhi also started Delhi Skill and Entrepreneurship University. We have already Odisha, we have already Gujarat. So future is very bright of this particular vocational education, and if implemented properly and adopting the proper vocational pedagogy or vocational curriculum model.
Sir, very very interesting example. जितना interesting question था उतना interesting answer आपसे. So I understand IGNOU is working to make not only workers but entrepreneurs, as you mentioned in the beginning. So all the very best to you, sir. It was a very very engaging session. Thank you so much for all the knowledge that you have shared with us today.